I finally published a game. A mobile game called Trigger Happy Shooter. In this video, I'll take you through the whys, the hows, my awful conversation with the publisher, and finally, we'll take a look at the results since the game went live on the stores in mid-July. At the end of January this year, I decided to go all in on game dev. I quit my cozy job as a developer at an industrial engineering company, joined a game jam, started writing a game called The First Horde, which is still my BHAG by the way, got married, went on honeymoon in the Netherlands, and played this kick-ass arcade game in a little arcade somewhere in Amsterdam. On the flight home, I decided that if I want to attain my goal of starting an actual indie game studio, I need to get to grips with what it means to write and publish an entire game. When we got back home to sunny South Africa, I got cracking on a shooter game inspired by the little arcade game I played in Amsterdam. I decided early on that I wanted to create mostly everything myself. Shout out to @JQBoats for making my music though. This way, when the time did come to employ some artists, I would be better able to communicate my ideas and have a good understanding of the workflows involved in creating game-ready assets. Additionally, I wasn't really sure of the entire direction of the game at the start. This meant that I would need a flexible character controller and other systems that I had a good grasp of and would be able to modify quickly as the game evolved. I did know though that I wanted the game to be a point and shoot style game, which is ideal for mobile controls. I got to work on modeling and animating some weapons, targets, and basic enemies that the player could shoot at. I made the shooting mechanic as simple as possible. The gun only shoots when you release the aiming joystick. I created these maps that would act as worlds for different kinds of levels. I figured this would give me the freedom to experiment with different types of environments, and jumping into level design was a lot of fun. I made the first world a training world. The idea being that you would shoot at targets, mannequins, and sentry turrets to get used to the controls and how the weapon switching works. I built an upgrade system for the weapons which allows you to collect cards of different weapon types and use them towards upgrading each weapon's attributes like damage, starting ammo, and reload times. It would cost the player gold to upgrade their cards. I made it so that you could earn gold from defeating enemies and collecting rewards. I figured there needs to be a way to encourage the player to keep collecting the different card types, so I built a task system that rewards the player with gold and cards when they complete different tasks, like destroying 20 targets or getting 100 revolver kills. I made use of Unity's economy and cloud save services to manage the player's data and track the statistics like the number of kills or how much gold they have. In terms of monetization, I went with the free-to-play with energy-based approach. There are no surprise ads in the game. You can watch ads to replenish your energy or use gems which you can buy from the store. I then created a second world which is sci-fi based. I modeled and animated some enemy robots and a boss battle, and created some areas with lasers to switch things up a bit. With most of the gameplay done, I needed to add some basic mobile functionality like the ability to sign in with Game Center or Google Play Games, and I actually needed to add the in-app purchases functionality to allow for the purchasing of gems. To make the game feel a bit better, I also decided to add vibration controls. It's safe to say that I massively underestimated how much time it would take to integrate the native functionality of Android and Apple devices into my Unity project. I even had to use some random branch of the Apple plugins for Unity repo that was created by a member of the game dev community who had fixed a pointer bug in Apple's native code. What a mess. At this point, I was mostly ready to get to the publishing part. I created a bunch of art that is required to publish to the stores. I made a gameplay trailer and app preview. After a couple of days and a bit of back and forth with the Apple review team, the app was live on the stores. I approached a publisher called Azure Games to see if they would be interested in publishing the game. They said they would test it out and give me feedback in 2 days. A couple of days later, I got a mail saying that they're not interested and maybe another publisher might be. It stung a bit at first, but I took it on the chin and responded asking if they could give me any constructive feedback to help me improve this game, or if there are things that I should keep in mind for future games. That response went into a black hole though, and I haven't heard from them since. So, the results of the game. It's been live for 2 weeks at the time of posting this video, and it currently has 48 downloads and has earned me approximately 50 cents. Not all hope is lost though, and I think how one responds to a failure like this is important. I believe it's pretty easy to blame the publisher or blame the mobile market for being oversaturated, but really the best way to progress is to look inward. is the game the best it can be? In its current state, I think the game is obviously not fun enough for people to play, and it is really difficult to make short form content about, meaning it definitely isn't interesting enough. There are no fascinating mechanics or interesting hooks. It's just a first-person shooter game with subpar animations and art. As such, I have been hard at work on improving it. I have moved in the direction of making it a deck builder with interesting weapons like bows with flaming arrows, smelly boots, much fewer targets, and way more enemies. I'm hoping that I'll be able to release version 2 in the next month or so. I've been trying to post frequent updates to the Trigger Happy YouTube page, Twitter, and TikTok to get more consistent feedback at an earlier stage and to gain an understanding of how easy it is to market the game with these new updates. So if you would like to see how things are progressing daily, all of these will be linked in the description down below. I do plan on releasing more devlogs now that I have a published game. I feel much better about calling myself a professional indie developer. I'll catch you on the next log.